Dr. Deanne, you guys know me already. And then we have Dr. Chang with us as well, and she's from the graduate education program.
Yeah.
And so
I'm
essentially, no, you're fine. We don't mind if we hear the baby. We're all kid friendly here.
I just want to be like perceived as like, oh, she's not professional at all. So.
No. These, like I said, these guys are actually, almost all of them have done research with kids or taken child development classes with me, so they know. But
Great.
anyway, so Sarah from the Center for International Education approached me about doing a travel course, and I got super excited about it. And I know, I'm trying to think, none of you have yet taken Play and Imagination, although you may at some point before you graduate. But Play and Imagination is a class that I teach. Dr. Chang has come in. She's a certified play therapist. She's come into that class and talked about play therapy before. And one of the things we do study is cross-cultural differences in play. So I thought, if we're going to go abroad, what better thing to study hands-on than cross-cultural differences in play? So I approached Dr. Chang and I said, would you be interested in co-teaching a class? Because as you guys know, all BHP classes have to have 2 professors. And she jumped on board right away, and we started thinking about which locations would be best. And the majority of research in cross-cultural differences in play comes from Asian cultures as compared to American cultures. So Sarah and I had talked about Tokyo as a possibility, and Dr. Chang knows a bit about Tokyo. She's been there, she has some friends there. So we started looking at different possibilities of places we could go, putting together itineraries, and we have a provider that's willing to take us around Tokyo and take us to different playgrounds and potentially some preschools and elementary schools to see how kids play and how they do or do not incorporate play into their educational curriculum. Also places like the Children's Museum, or I think it's the Science Museum that we have on the itinerary. There's a place called, correct me if I'm wrong, I think like the Sanrio, what's it called? Sanrio Puro Land or something. They're like the makers of Hello Kitty, you guys probably know, and they have, it's just like a giant play place, indoor play place for kids. So we'll go there. You have the option to go to Tokyo Disneyland, or that's not required, and it's an extra expense. And we'll also visit a play therapist's office in Japan. And then you'll also have some assignments in the US before you leave, where you'll go to, a playground in the US and an elementary school and or a daycare in the US and a play therapist office in the US. Museum in the US, or you'll have some choice, like whether it's the museum or the play place or the playground in the US before we go, so that we have points of comparison. And then we'll also just get to, eat great food and hang out in Tokyo. So that's the plan. We have a very tentative syllabus, which I think should be on the Center for International Education's website, but if you guys need it, you can always just drop me an email and I'll be happy to share it with you if you want to get a feel for what it's like. The course is a 3-credit class. Technically, you register for it as a spring semester course, but we would travel in May. We would leave the day after graduation and be gone for about 10 days or 11 days, I think it is. I think it's like the 16th to the 26th or something of May. And you would have, again, some meetings before we left, some class meetings and some assignments that would be due before we left. We'll work it out whether it's virtual meetings that we do or in-person meetings. It depends on people's schedules, but obviously we're all comfortable with virtual meetings at this point, so that's totally fine. But we want to make sure we convey some information about play and about play therapy before we go, and go over assignments and what you'll need to be doing while you're there versus before you go versus after you come back. And yeah, that's the majority of what I wanted to say, an overview of the course. Dr. Chang, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I think just one more thing, because I'm talking to my friend who's a Japanese, and she's also a registered play therapist in New Jersey. And she and I shared this idea with her, and she said that if we want, we can even, because she has a friend who's a registered play therapist, teaches at a university in Tokyo. So if we want, we can even go to the university and to visit their play therapy program too. So she can arrange that if we want to too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, if we have time to schedule. I know there's a couple days where they give us some space to negotiate with them, and we'll also have some class meetings while we're there to answer questions or go over assignments or to convey a little bit of material. The majority of the travel time won't be like class based, but we certainly want to touch base a few times. We'll all stay in the same hotel, and things like that. So, do you guys have questions?
the pandemic play any part in whether we would go or not?
Right. So right now, the company that we're using is offering. I have to look back at the exact numbers. I think I have the document up, but I think it's if you pay $250 or something on top of it,
Mhm.
it is an insurance fee basically to guarantee that no matter what happens, let me just see if I can find it. Oh, maybe it's less. Travel insurance, $33. It says 33/110. So I'm assuming that gives you different things. And I would have to look to see specifically, and that might be a better question for the CIE in terms of what there is, but I know that they're obviously aware of the situation. I do want to say though that I've been looking at the news, and Japan is like probably weeks away from reopening right now. So I'm not terribly worried about Japan so much as I'm worried about the US, right? Or them letting us in from the US.
Is there like a rough estimate of how much it would cost? Because I was looking on the website and it just said TBA.
Well, it depends on the number of people. So it's a good question. So we can't run the class with fewer than 10, and we can't run it with more than 17, right? So our itinerary now is still a little bit tentative because we can add things or delete things as we need to. But right now with 10 people, it's estimated to be about 4,500, but with 17 people, it drops down to 3,700. So it'll be somewhere in that neighborhood. And Sarah said a good estimate is usually around 12 to 14, and those numbers are between like 4,000 and 4,200. So
Okay.
does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, and it, like I said, it really all depends. I don't want you to take today's small group as an indicator of how many people might be able to, because I just it's just a matter of what people not knowing about the info station and whatnot. But I'm confident we can get at least 12. And they've also told us that if we don't fill up to 12 with BHP, we can add grad students, which Dr. Chang can recruit from the grad ed program. So I think we can get closer to the higher number that will make everybody's lives easier in terms of cost.
Can you, how many spots have filled yet?
There's only one person with an application in right now. So, I mean, we were kind of late to the game because we were new to this and we didn't know. So we just got all our pieces in last week. So I think the course was just posted last week. So there's one application that came in like as soon as it was posted, somebody who was excited and talking about, but I mean, if you guys apply, like I know you all, I'm not going to turn any of you guys away. I don't know if this is a warning or an enticement, but I should say this to anybody who watches the recording or to you guys. It's likely that both Dr. Chang and I will bring our children to this trip. Number one, because it's a kid-friendly trip, and number two, because we want our kids to go to Japan. So not that should affect your learning experience in any way, but in going through the itineraries with my kids, they're super excited about the possible places we'll go, and looking at the pictures of the playgrounds and things like that. But I think it'll be nice, so you'll even first on or hands-on, you'll have some American kids versus some Japanese kids to compare how they play in these places live. But yeah, just to warn you, I mean, obviously there'll be times where we'll need to meet with you apart from our kids, and our husbands will be there to help with the childcare. But if you're okay with them being there, they'll most likely be on the trip with us.
Yes, and if you're okay with that, I think she will be 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year old next summer. So
yeah, my kids will be 8 and 10 at that point. So, oh my God, it's hard to believe. Yeah.
How long is the flight?
How long is the flight?
Yeah.
I think it's you might know. I think it's
I think it's 16 hours.
From Newark to Tokyo, Tokyo to Newark. Okay, so it says, and this is just one example of a flight. Leave New York at 11:20 a.m., arrive in Tokyo at 1:55 p.m., and I think there's like a 12-hour time difference. So yeah, so it's probably about 14 hours is my guess.
Okay. It's the flight that's getting me. It's not the trip, it's the flight. I cannot see myself on a plane that long.
Oh, but you'll have so many of us to entertain you, including children.
Yeah.
And lots of movies, Michaela.
Yes, movie, eat, sleep. Movie, eat, sleep.
And there's time. I mean, there's sort of time built in to do like deal with jet lag and stuff like that. So it's not like you're up and have to be right away doing academic intellectually challenging tasks. Serenity and Tara, how did you know about the class? Was it from me talking about it, or had you seen it? You got the email they sent, or?
Oh, I got the email for this study abroad, John.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you talked about it on the last day of
Uh-huh.
class and from the study abroad.
Okay, good.
The syllabus is on the website. It's on.
Oh, great. Okay. All right, good. So then anybody who's listening, or you guys, you can load that there so you can get a feel for it. Again, it's tentative. We haven't finalized it, but it'll give you a good sense of what we're thinking of requiring. So